Northwestern University discovery. This sound in your head warns that your blood is sticky. Have you ever noticed that constant buzzing in your ear when it's quiet? That irritating sound that seems to come out of nowhere and won't stop? What if I told you that this noise might be trying to warn you about something much more serious happening in your blood right at this moment? Millions of people worldwide suffer from this mysterious phenomenon every day. They describe it as a constant whistle, a hissing that never ceases, or even a noise that pulses along with their heartbeat. But here is what most people do and know. This sound could be the first warning sign that your blood is literally getting thicker, more viscous, creating a potentially dangerous situation for your health. If you stay with me until the end of this video, you'll discover exactly how to identify if that sound in your head is related to your blood viscosity, and more importantly, what you can do to resolve this situation before it evolves into something much more serious. What I am about to share with you comes from a fascinating discovery that connects this irritating noise in your ear with a silent process that might be happening in your blood circulation right now. Research has demonstrated a clear connection between blood viscosity and the development of ear ringing, especially when we talk about blood flow alterations caused by denser blood. This phenomenon has a scientific name: tinnitus. About 1 in every 5 people in the United States experiences tinnitus, which is described as a constant ringing, hissing, whistling, or clicking in the ears. But what makes this condition even more intriguing is its connection with something that happens at the microscopic level of your blood. To fully understand this relationship, we first need to comprehend what really happens when your blood becomes more viscous. Imagine your circulatory system as a complex network of roads where blood needs to flow freely. When this blood gets denser, more sticky, it's like traffic on these roads starting to get congested. High blood viscosity, caused by the density of blood components, can result in tinnitus, especially when blood flow slows down due to pathologies, causing blood accumulation. This discovery is revolutionary because it reveals that irritating sound might actually be your body's first warning signal. The most impressive discovery comes from studies that specifically analyze the rheological properties of blood, that is, how blood flows in patients suffering from tinnitus. Using sophisticated equipment like the Contrave's LS40 oscillatory rotational rheometer, researchers were able to determine whole blood and plasma viscosity at body temperatures of 37 degrees Celsius. What they discovered was surprising. There's a direct correlation between alterations in blood viscosity and the development of phantom auditory symptoms. This means that noise you hear might be directly related to how your blood is circulating through your body. But how exactly does this work? Let's imagine the following scenario. You're sitting in a completely silent environment, maybe reading or trying to fall asleep, when suddenly you notice that familiar sound in your ears. It could be a low, constant buzzing, or maybe a sharper hissing. Sometimes it might even pulse along with your heart. This last type is particularly revealing. Pulsatile tinnitus is characterized by hearing noises that beat in time with your pulse, being caused by blood circulation near the ears. When you hear this type of rhythmic sound, it's literally the sound of your own blood circulating, but amplified by alterations in viscosity and flow. Now, you might be wondering, how can I know if my blood is really getting more viscous? There are some subtle signs that many people ignore or consider normal, but that might indicate exactly this condition. First, pay attention to how you feel when you stand up quickly. If you frequently feel dizzy or lightheaded, this might indicate that your blood isn't circulating with optimal efficiency. Second, observe your energy throughout the day. More viscous blood means less oxygen and nutrients reach your tissues, resulting in chronic fatigue that seems to have no explanation. Third, and this is crucial, notice if the ear ringing gets more intense in certain positions or times of day. If you notice the sound gets stronger when you're lying down or after periods of inactivity, this might indicate that blood flow alterations are directly influencing your auditory symptoms. Changes in general blood flow can cause tinnitus or make symptoms worse and more noticeable, especially in pulsatile tinnitus, which is directly related to changes in blood pressure and blood viscosity. But here's where the situation gets really serious. If you're ignoring these initial signs, the problem can evolve into much more serious consequences. Viscous blood doesn't just affect your ears. It puts extra pressure on your entire cardiovascular system. Imagine the case of Robert, a 45-year-old executive who for months ignored that constant buzzing in his left ear. He thought it was just work stress. Robert also noticed he felt more tired than normal, especially at the end of the day, but attributed this to his intense work routine. What Robert didn't know is that his body was trying to warn him about a much deeper problem. His blood was gradually becoming more viscous due to a combination of factors: diet rich in inflammatory foods, chronic dehydration, and lack of regular physical activity. When Robert finally sought medical help, it wasn't because of the ear ringing, but because he started having episodes of high blood pressure and intense headaches. It was only then that doctors discovered the connection. His blood was significantly thicker than normal, forcing his heart to work much harder to pump this viscous blood through his circulatory system. If you've made it this far, pay close attention to what I'm going to share now, because it could literally save your life. Blood vessel problems, including high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, or blood vessel malformations, especially when they're close to the ear, can alter blood flow and cause tinnitus. The good news is there are proven ways to reverse this situation. First, adequate hydration is fundamental. When you don't drink enough water, your blood naturally becomes more concentrated and viscous. The ideal is to consume at least 2.5 liters of pure water per day, distributed throughout the day. Second, certain foods have natural properties that help reduce blood viscosity. Garlic, for example, contains sulfur compounds that have natural anticoagulant effects. Ginger has similar properties, helping improve circulation and reduce blood stickiness. Third, and this might sound surprising to many, regular movement is one of the most effective ways to maintain blood viscosity at ideal levels. I am not necessarily talking about intense exercises. Even a 30-minute walk per day can make a dramatic difference in your blood fluidity. Research using magnetic resonance imaging has explored the complex connections between tinnitus, hearing loss, and blood flow in the brain, showing that all these elements are intrinsically connected. But there's more. A specific protocol has shown impressive results in documented cases. This protocol involves 3 distinct phases. First, the intensive hydration phase, where the person gradually increases water consumption over a week. Second, the specific nutrition phase, incorporating foods that naturally reduce blood viscosity. Third, the structured movement phase with specific exercises that stimulate circulation. The results of this protocol are remarkable. In a documented case study, a 52-year-old woman who suffered from pulsatile tinnitus for more than 2 years achieved an 80% reduction in symptom intensity in just 6 weeks following this structured protocol. Another impressive case involves a 60-year-old man who, besides ear ringing, showed signs of compromised circulation in his extremities. After 3 months applying these strategies, not only did the tinnitus completely disappear, but his blood tests showed significant improvement in blood viscosity and cardiovascular health markers. Can you imagine what your life would be like without that constant sound in your ear? What would it be like to wake up in complete silence, without that buzzing that has accompanied you for so long? What would it be like to have the energy you had years ago, knowing that your blood is flowing perfectly through your body? But it's important that you understand, not all cases of tinnitus are related to blood viscosity. Growing evidence suggests that some people with tinnitus have hidden hearing loss, auditory nerve damage that is undetected by conventional hearing tests. Therefore, it's essential to seek adequate medical evaluation to determine the specific cause of your symptoms. There are situations where this protocol isn't recommended. People who already use anticoagulant medications should be especially careful, as combining these strategies with medication can result in excessively thin blood. Individuals with a history of bleeding disorders should also avoid this protocol without rigorous medical supervision. If you have diabetes, severe hypertension, or any diagnosed cardiovascular condition, it's essential to consult a cardiologist before implementing any significant changes in diet or exercise routine. The same applies to people taking multiple medications, as there might be interactions that need to be considered. Guidance from a hematologist can be especially valuable, as these professionals are specialists in blood disorders and can accurately assess whether your blood viscosity is actually altered. An experienced general practitioner can also coordinate care and make necessary referrals. Remember, every powerful method requires adequate knowledge to be applied safely. You have the ability to make informed decisions about your health, but always with support from qualified professionals when necessary. What we discovered today reveals a fascinating connection between an apparently simple symptom and a complex process that might be affecting your entire cardiovascular system. That sound in your ear that you might have ignored for so long might actually be an early warning system from your own body. We live in an era where medicine is discovering increasingly sophisticated connections between apparently isolated symptoms and broader systemic processes. The relationship between tinnitus and blood viscosity is just one example of how our body constantly sends us signals about our internal health state. The future of personalized medicine will likely include even more detailed analysis of these connections, allowing increasingly precise and effective interventions. For now, you have in your hands information that can make the difference between ignoring an important signal and taking preventive action that can transform your quality of life. The most important message I want to leave you with is this: your body is incredibly intelligent and is constantly communicating with you. That sound in your ear isn't just an annoyance. It might be an opportunity to discover and resolve a problem before it becomes something much more serious. Tell me here in the comments, have you noticed this connection between ear ringing and other symptoms like fatigue or dizziness? Your experience might help other people going through the same situation. Share this video with someone you know who suffers from tinnitus. This information might be exactly what that person needs to hear. If you want to continue discovering these fascinating connections between apparently simple symptoms and complex processes of the human body, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. In upcoming videos, I'll reveal other surprising discoveries that might completely change your perspective on health and prevention. Remember, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is transformation. Don't let important signals from your body go unnoticed. Your future health thanks you for the decisions you make today.